The Denver basketball team mollywopped the Minnesota basketball team by 15. And so they have, the team from Colorado, a 3-2 lead. The Nuggets, clearly fueled by the MALLER food dish there in Denver, they ended up getting the victory rather easily in the fourth quarter, really never in doubt. They had a lead at arm's length. They did trail briefly in the third quarter, but the Nuggets are 1 win away from heading back to the Final Four of the NBA. So let us discuss the question. Better story, losing locker room. So who gets the largest part of the Timberwolves' Juicy Lucy of blame? So I've got Play-Doh, Head and Shoulders, and Delta. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to make the mighty Mississippi that runs right through the Twin Cities. And kind of like the Nuggets are running through the Timberwolves here these last few games. So, there's plenty of sports talk shame to go around for the Minnesota basketball team. That is obvious. However, it falls ultimately on the yin and the yang. The yin and the yang. What does that mean? We start with Anthony Edwards. I like this guy. He's dynamic. He's fun. He's exciting. He's not Michael Jordan, although some have tried to compare him to Michael Jordan. That's fine. But in this game, if you didn't see it, Anthony Edwards played like your Aunt Betty, your 70-year-old Aunt Betty out there. My God. Edwards, very empty. 18 points. He was 1 of 9 at one point. 5 of 15 he finished from the floor. He was the Duke. Anthony Edwards, the Duke of Puke in this game. Barf bag-worthy performance by a headliner. The coming out party for Anthony Edwards. And he did not show up. And I do love when the Nuggets lose at home, which they did the first couple of games. We hear a lot about the altitude. And we don't hear about the altitude, rather, when they lose at home. When they win at home, it's the altitude. It's, oh, man, that team's tired. People seem to have trouble making sure what the reality is of that. Is it the altitude? Because, like, the Nuggets, my entire life, every couple of years the Nuggets win a championship because of the altitude. They almost never lose at home, and they win all the time in the playoffs because of the altitude, unless they know. But as far as the yin and the yang, get back to that. So Anthony Edwards, the Duke of Puke, we got that. Barf bag. How about the French rejection? There was a lot of rejection, but it was not at the hands of Rudy Gobert. Defensive Player of the Year ×4 in the NBA, and the most polarizing player in pro basketball. There is no player in the NBA that annoys more of the elites in the NBA than Rudy Gobert. They can't stand this guy. They can't stand it, and they were having orgasms watching him drown on the court in this game that was played a few hours ago. Well, not less than that. The Stifle Tower, Gobzilla, as they call him. Nikola Jokic treated Rudy Gobert like a kid handles Play-Doh. It was absolute child's play here. The Wolves, the snapshot I have, I don't know if you noticed this or not if you're watching the game. Even Blind Emmett saw this. Walking off the court, the Wolves were walking off the court. They looked absolutely bedraggled as they're walking. That's why they lost the game. They're supposed to be down. I get that. But there was something more. There was something more to this. You had a shot of their coach on crutches trying to get off the court. You had Karl Anthony Towns, who had a limp as he was hobbling off the court. Mike Conley didn't even play in the game. He was unable to make the cut with a sore Achilles. So he was out. And the team just looks exhausted, fatigued, drained, zonked, all of those things. That's what Minnesota looks like. And so will we get a win by Minnesota to force a Game 7, or will they meekly roll over and play dead, as so many great Minnesota teams have done in the past? Now, turning the page here, if you watched the game on TV or just listened to the audio on the TV broadcast, you probably noted that it sounded a lot different. It looked a lot different because Shaquille O'Neal and Charles Barkley were not there. They were not sick. They did not have the gobbledygook. They didn't have any of that. Instead, they were out working the advertising market for TNT. So where are you at on Shaq and Charles Barkley missing the beloved inside the NBA for TNT's upfront in New York City? Where are you at on that? So I hated it. I look forward to this. I look forward to watching Charles Barkley more than I do these stupid games that I'm watching for the NBA. Most of them are not very enjoyable. This was a great example. You had the Knickerbockers who took a can of whoop ass to the Pacers in the early game, and Denver never really in any danger, stranger danger, against Minnesota. So I look forward to Barkley. I didn't get my Barkley. I did not get my Barkley. Draymond Green was on there, human tranquilizer. For a guy that loves to kick people in the nuts and punch them, boy, is that guy a bore, Draymond Green. My God. Do people feed him lines for his podcast? That is terrible. He sucks. And then you have Vince Carter. I'd rather hear Hollering James snore than Vince Carter. What a bore. Hit the mute button. It's nothing personal. You just suck at this. But you got to put these guys on, right? They're ex-jocks. You got to put them on TV. They're terrible. My God. Horrific. And if there was any doubt that Charles Barkley is the secret sauce, if you had any question about how valuable Charles Barkley is as a broadcaster, he is the straw, and not a cheap, crappy paper straw like they have in California and other places. He's a real plastic straw that'll last 10,000 years, and he stirs the drink there for TNT, and that was a refresher course. And Charles Barkley and Shaq were laying out in New York City, they were laying out bottles of Head and Shoulders, shall we say. They were the bottles of Head and Shoulders right there for Madison Avenue, as the great John Sterling told me on my podcast, The Fifth Hour, a couple years back. He said the most important thing is to sell the soap. So Charles Barkley trying to sell a lot of soap, and it's very important. Otherwise, ixnay on the TNT A for Charles Barkley. This is a last-ditch, you'd call it in football. It would be a Hail Mary play. TNT, if they get enough ad money, if the people on Madison Avenue pay top dollar here, then TNT will increase the check they're going to cut to the NBA. If not, Turner will be excommunicated and say bye-bye to Ernie Johnson. He'll go. Barkley and Kenny Smith and those guys will likely go somewhere else, but it will not be the same. So those are the stakes. Now, the last word here, we pivot quickly. An emergency portion of the Maller monologue. We go now to the Lone Star State. We talk baseball, talking baseball. An old friend has returned here in Major League Baseball on a random night, middle of the week, May. Not a lot going on in the sport of baseball this week. Well, scandal in Houston. Ding, 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 ding. Yeah, scandal in Houston. The Astros have a starter named Ronel Blanco, the cheating Astros. He puts the cheat in the ass, 1,000 holes. So Ronel Blanco was ejected at the game on Tuesday night there at the start of the fourth inning. It was a 2-1 victory over the Athletics, the Nomads of baseball, and Ronel Blanco ejected for cheating. It's a wild scene. The third base umpire, Laz Diaz, I've heard of him. He came over, and he was ejecting Blanco, right? He checked his glove, a regular DUI checkpoint, if you will, in this case a pine tar checkpoint. And it was more than pine tar, though. Threw a pitch in before he had thrown a pitch in the fourth inning. Blanco was given the heave-ho. The umpires, Blanco, the manager of the cheaters, Joe Espada, I believe is the guy's name, and they had a brief powwow on the mound, and then the right-handed pitcher was given the boot. Now, Blanco's glove was confiscated and taken to FBI headquarters. Blank, unless it wasn't. But the glove was taken by the umpires and put in a secret location, so hopefully nobody will sneak through the catwalks there in Houston to try to get said glove back. But here's the deal. All right, the Astros, they won the game. Who cares about that? Can you explain why starting pitcher Ronel Blanco and the Astros are back cheating again? Well, you could argue they never stopped cheating. But have you seen the team play? Hello? Have you watched any of this product? That's a bad product. There's worms. There's worms in the product here. That's a flea bag outfit in Houston. Houston has been a mildewy team, especially in particular on the pitching staff. The ass, 1,000 holes. They have been like, remember that story, I think it was a year ago, 2 years ago, that Delta flight, remember the one from Atlanta to Barcelona that had a biohazard issue because somebody went in the bathroom and there was poop and feces that was flowing down the plane. That's the Astros. They're 28th in ERA, 28 in whip. They whip, and they whip it bad. The Astros. And so what they've done here is they've gone back to the franchise charter. That's what they've done. They've gone back to the franchise charter there, and they're showing their true colors. When you peel back the onion, even though the names have changed other than Altuve, Bregman, and one or two other players from that unpunished cheating team of 2017, nonetheless, when you peel back everything here, you have to now question the entire body of work of Ronel Blanco, a total fraud. He's got stanky stank all over him here. Blanco, who threw a no-hitter. But, of course, baseball will not do anything. Oh, no. It was all good. It was all kosher. Blanco threw a no-hitter this season. In his debut this season, threw a no-hitter, allowed 4 hits, struck out 1 on Tuesday while cheating. The umpires finally caught up to him in the 4th inning. He has an ERA of just over 2 this season. That's some really good pine tar. How soon before the bang, bang, the trash cans, and whistle, whistle come back? How soon before that comes back? Blanco's going to get an automatic 10-game suspension, so he'll be out for 10 games. But there you go. That cheater's going to cheat, and they are dirty, rotten cheaters, the Houston A-holes. And even though they suck, imagine having to cheat against the Oakland Athletics. I mean, that's one thing you're going against the Yankees, right, or the Dodgers. Say, okay, we got to play a good team. You're playing the Athletics, and you got to cheat to beat the Athletics? Are you kidding me? You pathetic loser.